Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 36 of the Whitey and Will Sports Show. Today is Tuesday, May 31st. It's not Sunday. We're not recording on Sunday. We don't have to get into why because it revolves around me being an idiot. But it is Tuesday, May 31st, and we are finally getting Justin Fleener on the show today, the head baseball coach at Teutopolis High School. We wanted to talk a little baseball and thought that Justin would be an ideal guest to get on to talk about high school baseball and more specifically, we're gonna question Justin a little bit on the success of his program over the years. So Justin, thanks for taking the time to join us. Actually, you took the time twice because we had you slated for Sunday and I went and put myself in the emergency room for a little bit and I couldn't make that happen. So here we are Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for taking the time.
No problem. I'm glad it's just something, well, I'm not going to say minor, but at least I think you're going to survive and hopefully everything turns out all right.
Yeah, pretty minor, just a little couple of cuts, no big deal. But
just a flesh wound.
That's right.
I would say.
That's right. Just a few stitches.
Dustin, I will say, when I texted Coach Fleener and told him you had an accident and we had to postpone, he was concerned about you. Well, until I told him you cut yourself with a hedge trimmer, and I'm sure he chuckled then.
Well,
whenever he said he's going to the emergency room, I was like, that's gonna be serious. And then you kind of said, I think you'll be all right. But
it's worth a laugh in hindsight.
Smile and that he's going to be all right with it. But
it's worth a laugh in hindsight. So I don't know. We don't need to dwell on this. All right, we don't need to dwell on this. We've got an accomplished baseball coach taking the time to talk to us, and the high school baseball season is wrapping up, which is, I think he's got a lot to offer us in terms of wisdom on that. Not just in terms of Teutopolis' successes over the year, but the fact that that North Clay baseball team that happens to have a kid named Fleener on it, still playing. They're going to be playing for state championship this weekend, and that's got to be. I think I want to start with that. We can get to what you've done in T-Town over the years, but I want to know how you're feeling as a dad. It's got to be pretty cool for you right now.
It's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I have found myself what I feel like more stress, and a couple of the wonderful community members text congratulations or good luck. I even said back to them and said, man, I find this to be a little more stressful. And they said, well, welcome to the club. And how, as a parent, you're just seems like I'm sitting on pins and needles. I don't recall being this stressful whenever I coach. I mean, there's anxiousness that you have, but man, I guess I just need to sit back and relax because I tell you what, they've accomplished a lot with me sitting in the stands or me not even there. So quite a team, and there's I've been fortunate enough to watch this group come up the past 10 years when they were little, and to see them develop and to see the kind of the type of young men that they are. Says a lot. They are a really good team. They're fun to watch. I hope they can, continue to get a couple more ball games. They've made it this far, and I hope that they, be happy with what they have accomplished. But I think they have a goal in mind, and they want to get to the top of the podium, and I hope they can get to there.
I think it's certainly at this point, it seems like as good a choice as any as far as who's left. I mean, you get to the Final Four and the way they have been, the way they've been playing down the stretch. I mean, I've seen their last two games and we've paid attention to them all season long. I think the thing that really impresses you is just top to bottom. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go for an out in that lineup. I mean, the pitching's obviously been good, but I don't know as an opposing pitcher how you think about attacking that team because there's just nobody that you can be like, well, if I can just get here and make a pitch, then we can get out of this inning. It doesn't work that way with that.
No, it is not, and we have found that out multiple times this year. We played them 4 times in the fall. and then one time this spring. And from the first game on, I have thought the exact same thing that you're thinking. I thought, well, man, if we get past the first 4 or 5 and, well, maybe the first 6, and, well, my goodness, 7 and 8 just got singles. Now number 9's up, and all of a sudden he just doubled off the wall on you. And then look at his speed. He's got speed like a leadoff guy. Then they brought the lineup back to the top again, and you're going, crap, we'll see if we can find something else in there. And then, it's we played them 5 times. We was just fortunate enough to get them once. And up and down the line, they're a solid team, and they do their role if they need to. And when they're clicking, they're tough outs.
Well, and pitching wise, Justin, they probably can go 6 deep.
They can go 3 solid guys, and even a 4th that I've seen pitch a little bit with Brighton Griffey. But they have other guys that can. You think that, well, they're not the main ones you see, but all of a sudden you see them pitching in a game against a Freeburg, or you see them pitching against a Teutopolis, or you see them pitching against an Effingham or a Bree Central, and you're like, wow, that's not even one of their top 3 guys, and they're holding this team in check for a while here. So yeah, they have arms, and they have a little bit of depth, and they have guys that's had to fill those roles for the past 2-3 years. And they became quality ball players. They're
pretty solid, and they're fun to see. Now with you getting to go to Peoria,
if I wouldn't say Coach Freck has done a fabulous job with molding these guys to the players that they are. Coach has really, he puts the time and effort in with these guys, and a lot of it they push on themselves. Just like this morning, and any time throughout the season, I don't know how he's got that motivation in those young men that there'll be a 10 o'clock practice, but Logan's wanting to get there at 8:30 because he wants to take around to BP. A bunch of guys are going to take some BP before. That's an hour and a half before the scheduled practice is supposed to start.
Yeah.
And I could see that excitement right now, but that was happening in March and April when they'd have a Saturday practice, and I was getting ready to leave for a ball game early, and Logan's up with me, and I'm like, what are you doing up this early? He goes, well, we got practice at 10, but we're going to get out at 30 and take some BP. And believe me, and you guys know, those times in April there, it just wasn't the greatest weather during those Saturdays that they're going to, or March, Saturdays in April and March, they're going down to have a practice, and it's not 80 degrees like it is now. It was cool, but yet they had guys that would meet early. And now that's him leaving. I may have a son telling me he may be going to Country Kitchen someplace and getting something to eat beforehand. I know they really have that push for each other, and that's what each one of them up and down that lineup has pushed each other. That I'm from a dad, listen to one of the players, they put in that extra time to get them to this point of where they are today.
Well, and again, that's like you said, that's the culture they have within that team. They hold each other probably accountable. You don't have to be there early, but I'm sure if you never show up early, it's probably frowned upon. So that's good. So you're going to be in Peoria. You don't have to worry about any kid being in his room. You don't have to worry about did the order of 28 Blimpie subs get made. You just get to relax.
Yeah, I guess so. I would have took that other. Believe me, I'd still love to have that. I'd still love to be up there competing. But this is pretty nice too. And I get to sit back and be dad and just get a pace back and forth. And every once in a while, if I want to, I can go to the concession stand and get something to drink and get back to my special spot that I think we got to be standing at to make good things happen. And, if we're talking to somebody and something bad happens, I got to get back over here to my spot. I think a lot of people are like that. And that's the reason why this scruff kind of looks like I got mange growing up on here that, I say I'm not a superstitious person, but this has been there for their season, and I might as well leave it. So
that's good. I like
we'll leave that on Saturday, hopefully.
You look like a hockey player now. You got that playoff going.
I guess hockey players, they seem like mean guys, so I'll take that as a compliment. They seem like tough guys, so yeah, I'll take that as a compliment then.
There you go. So, Justin, transitioning to you guys, I know you guys went down in the regional this year. I think you had a string 13 in a row. And, looking, I think 21 years coaching at T-Town, you got 18 regionals. I think if my math was right. That's not too shabby.
No, it's really my 22nd year I just finished up, but of course,
we had COVID.
We had the COVID year. So 21 years of spring baseball, 22 years of fall baseball. And I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish up there. It's something, but it's that winning and that success. As I told the kids, it's for lack of a better word, it's addicting. That you want to get back to that point, and and you want to get back to there because what's the feel good part of it for me is what I'm getting to experience now as a parent, being able to provide that for family and friends of the players and the players themselves. And if I've told you before, I said I enjoy, and one of my greatest feelings of accomplishment, yes, winning that state is great, but setting up there in that scores booth talking to you two or Greg Sapp or somebody on the radio and looking down on that field, and especially down at Sauget, or Matt Robinson, and even Mason, whenever he was a little guy, he was up there one time, and he had a note I couldn't get up there in time, he gave to me, but looking down upon that field and seeing those family and friends and players, all that happiness, and wanting to be able to provide that each year is what I try to do. I would love for people to be able to experience that sensation of accomplishment.
You feel that the expectations ever get to your kids?
I think they might a little bit. There is a lot of pressure put upon those guys, and I'm not. Just all coming from the community or parents. There's Coach Fleener puts it on them too because of that. Wants to feel that. I want them to feel that success. So you try to put that pressure upon them. But I just not over and over. They had guys that stayed and worked.
Sure, yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
Guys that held the field, they took time and just did not. That Friday evening, things just for about a 5-minute span didn't go our way.
Yeah. So, like I said, those things happen. You got a lot of, they say T-Town never, they just reload. And, I know you got your lower levels. You got a lot of kids coming. So that part of it's good. You still got to play Chris this year. I know you had to do some finagling with the schedule because of rain, but you still got to have the Battle of the Fleeners this year. Oh.
Yeah, might be having a little.
Justin froze.
I even talked to him 2 years in a row.
I'm sorry. There you go.
COVID season, I was like, hey, we got your schedule to come back up this year too. We got him to come back up again this year, and it's like, hey, we came to your place last year. I said, no, Chris, last year was that, the original first year in 2020, you were supposed to be here. Last year, we just, tried to get a game in, and then this year we're back on schedule. You should be up here. He's like, holy cow, I coming to you 2 years in a row. But then we had a rain out, and then he even agreed to come later on. Once it got rained out, we rescheduled it. And so, yeah, we were able to get him on the schedule the 13th of May there. And
so is it different when he's got the Fairfield uniform versus the Effingham uniform?
No, it isn't. It's you're playing your brother and you don't want to lose, but at the same time, I think we kind of competed against each other for a while, and I don't know what circumstances were going on at the times. I realized he had a lot of runouts and makeup games. He had a really good number one arm and a pretty decent number two. His number one is going to Wabash, and I think he put back-to-back no hitters together against Carmi and Flora. and we didn't get to see him. I'd like to face him to see how we match up with that, but no, it's always fun to compete against Chris. And, I guess we'll.
Dustin, do we want to try to dial in again, or what are you going to do? You had that
Yeah, we're having a little bit of breakup on your end of things, Justin. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing from time to time. We can keep pushing ahead, though, I think, Mike.
Justin, can you still hear us? Because sometimes your video freezes, and I don't know if you're completely frozen or just video.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, our video's just frozen. That's okay.
Still hear you guys. Never locked out at all. Still hear you.
Okay.
All right. Good enough.
So I got a question, Justin.
I'm using them.
When you're having the battle of the Fleeners, do you ever give Chris that look in the game?
The look of what?
The look that you guys have competed against each other since you've been 4 years old, and you know that look like, all right, that's about it. You ever give him that look in a game?
No. As a funny deal last year is you'd have to ask him about it, and it was one time we played a doubleheader and it was raining, and Chris accused, he said, "These are BP balls you're throwing in here." And I said, "They are not. We wasted a dozen balls. We're just throwing balls and we dry off and wet." And he yells out, "We can play tag with these balls." And I said, "Well, all right, I'll be at first. If I want it, you tell me if it's soft." And then I thought he was going to crack up back there. So that was one of the funnier moments I remember. Are we still breaking up? Is this better?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Sorry about that. We were mostly just worried you weren't able to hear us. So, yep. So I don't know, Mike. I had a question on the tip of my tongue, and then I lost it. You want to push ahead? So,
Justin, when you started teaching, I know you started at North Clay. How long were you at North Clay before you came to T-Town?
3 years.
3 years.
The 98, 99, and 2000 school years.
Okay, so 3 years at North Clay. And I do know a story that you once got a call from a parent because you were kind of being mean to one of your students.
Yeah, I did get a call from a parent. I'm actually sitting in her house right now.
I was gonna say, yes.
I had a couple 3 years down there. I think there were 2 parents that had called and had some concerns, and one of them was my own mother. Yes, I had. Once again, I had my sister in class, and I was still treating her like a little sister. She didn't like that, and she came home upset. Well,
Stephanie told me once that her mom had to give you a call one time because you were being mean to her in class.
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned whenever that parent called. And the rest of them I do take serious when a parent calls and had concerned about their kid. But that one there, I was laughing too much.
Now, I will tell you.
The superintendent will come in there and laugh at that time too if you want. So.
And I know you spoke to the Effingham Rotary here a month or so ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and one of my friends is a Rotarian and was very impressed with you in your presentation. He was impressed, number one, that you were a chemistry physics teacher. He expected you to be teaching PE and driver's ed. And he said he was a good speaker. I mean, he was very good.
I've been fortunate to be able to have that opportunity to be sitting up in front of a bunch of people and talking here a lot. You know, when you do teaching, you're in front of a group every 50 minutes, basically. And then with baseball, I've had that opportunity to speak at a couple clinics, and so it does get a little more relaxing to be able to stand up in front of people and talk. And that atmosphere there was, that group there, a couple of them asked some questions, and it was a lot of fun to be able to talk about some things that I had experienced from my coaching point of view and from where I came from, and it was pretty neat. I enjoyed coming in there and talking.
That's good. They said, like I said, he was very impressed. Now, Luke is still playing at Greenville, I believe. I talked to him the other day when I saw you. Audrey done with school?
Audrey finished up her classroom stuff at Eastern this year, and then she will be going to do I guess it's called an internship, a 10-month internship, and then she'll have a degree as a clinical lab scientist. So she's in this. Luke's still a sophomore. He'll be a junior next year. And Logan, of course, is still a junior right now. I say that because he's still considered a junior since our baseball team is still playing. And he's not a senior until after this coming weekend. Then he'll start his senior summer getting ready for that. But, kids are doing well. Susan's still doing that. That's why I can't knock that driver's ed and PE, because the other half, the other co-chairman of our family is a driver's ed PE teacher. So
I know.
I am not going to say that chemistry and physics is a whole lot more tougher than driver's ed and PE. As you can tell, I enjoy my meals, and I am not going to set the person who fixes a few of those meals. So, I don't know those driver's ed and PE teachers.
So, all your years at T-Town, 4 state championships. Any point in those 4 runs when you've been at state where you're thinking, man, I just don't know if we can pull this off this year?
No. I say that not trying to sound arrogant.
Right.
I say that from a point that I thought we had the personnel to be able to give us a shot. And the first year in 2010, even though Harrisburg was an extremely good team that year, I can remember exactly what I told the boys. And I said, you remember, guys, they're still 16, 17, 18-year-old kids just like you. You're not playing 25-year-olds out there. You're still, these are the same, that goes through the same things that you're dealing with up here, the same pressures, that same stuff that you deal with, they're dealing with. Give yourselves an opportunity to be in the game. And we were fortunate to have 2 great pitchers that year in Luke Beecher and Derek Thompson. And Derek pitched a phenomenal state championship game against them that year. And we were able to kind of get on top of them. And I think that they started feeling a little bit of that. They started pressing a little bit. We were fortunate. We had some guys that made some fabulous plays that kept us in those games. We had Kyle Zaruza made a great play from right field, ran a ball down that I thought was hit hard. He ran it down. We had just over in general, everybody did their role whenever it seemed like Harrisburg was about to make that jump. Somebody did their part to be able to catch a ball, get a base hit, or advance on a base that needed to be advanced upon. And then the other years, the next year, I thought, since we were repeating, I thought, and coming back with a lot of the same guys, I liked our chances. I never overlooked anybody. Man, we had a couple close games, especially in the super sectional against Pleasant Plains that year. We were fortunate that, I think the top of the 7th inning, we finally put a rally together and got something going. And then, in 17 and 19, the confidence, and because I think it's a result from all of those years of winning that regional and getting through that sectional and getting to the super sectional. And man, I remember we started the postseason in 17, the confidence that those guys had. And it was like you had a team of horses that was ready to run, and all I needed to do was let it go at that time. And those years there, they were really, they were anxious to get that postseason started. And the confidence.
That group in 17, you had 2 kids get just red hot with the back. and
Kenner and
Hartke. I've never seen anything like it.
You know, and Lane Belleville, I think, was 6 for 8 at the state tournament that year.
No, yeah.
And I think Hartke and Kenner both either went, and this is my old age, I think 7 for 8 or 8 for 8, just unbelievable. And one thing I look forward to is getting that program that's going to have some of that stuff in it, the accomplishments that those guys had at the state tournament that year. And we had 2 great pitching performances from Brock Beecher and Eric Kramer in 17. 18, Eric had hurt his arm in the sectional championship. It would have been nice to add him back, but I can't step up that year that pitched a lot for us, and he held us in that state championship game about as long as we could against Spring Valley Hall. And a kid that's playing for the University of Illinois now was on that team. Cam McDonald, I think, was his name.
So you've been to so many super sectionals, and the one thing that came into play for North Clay in the North Clay game yesterday, I think for both teams, was that the playing surface is different once you get to that super sectional level. Is that something that you spend much time talking to the kids about before the game, or do you feel like that only makes them more nervous and more concerned about things? Because it's all turf, so you get some weird bounces, you get truer bounces, but not what you're used to playing on grass and dirt. And we saw plays for both teams where there were misplays that probably led to runs.
And really, you might there's a lot that can be said from just the field conditions at the beginning of a season. The fields are usually wet. We've had a lot of water, so those balls that are high in the air usually don't bounce like they're coming off of concrete.
Mm-hmm.
But they will bounce like they're coming off concrete here in probably just about a month, end of June, 1st of July, and the beginning of our fall season. That ground's pretty hard, and you'll get those bounces if you're not careful. But sometimes that field of play, you gotta be able to tell those guys to be ready for that. Expect it. Hey, it's still a playing surface that hopefully you can handle. But you gotta be able to think. And if you're charging in on a ball that's going to drop in front of you, you got to remember that, hey, it might get over hit. So you got to be a little cautious of that to be able to make the adjustment on it.
But then you also get those truer hops. We saw that with Logan. There was a play yesterday where he had a ball hit right to him, and the fact that it took a Sunday hop for him and was hit so hard, he had a little trouble with the exchange, but had a good enough arm to make the play. Maybe in a regional final, you don't. It's not as forgiving of a play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought he was just trying to work a basketball drill in there for Coach Zink, and he caught the ball and then kind of fumbled around, and then it looks like he dribbled it. And I did wish you would have thought, that's the stressfulness I'm about that I feel. But yes, hop came right up to him, and on a ground balls, if you could get your pitcher to get those ball down in the zone, that team will just beat it. And if you're going to get nice hops if you can make the adjustment on it. If it's hit hard, you just got to knock it down because you're still going to be able to throw the guy out if the ball's right around you yet. And Jared Waldorf took advantage of that in 2013. Man, he kept the ball down against Carlisle and just introduced ground ball after ground ball to Reed Hardick at second base and down there at Sauget. And, we just let that turf surface produce nice, easy hops for our infielders.
Yeah.
So you got to tell them to be wary of it, but at the same time, I think at some point in the season, some teams are trying to get on a turf field to experience that at some time. So we're slowly getting used to that. And I still think you're going to start to see more of them pop up at some of these bigger schools.
Yep.
So
how about this? Whenever I was riding down to Carbondale with Matt Robinson yesterday, and Mason was tagging along with us, and they were talking a lot about the summer ball that he's playing this year. And he's staying busy. But you like to see your kids, obviously you want to see them playing in the summertime. What's the ideal amount of baseball to play in the summer? Like, I mean, you want them to stay active, but you don't want them to get hurt. You don't want them to get burnt out. What do you like to see out of your guys as far as what they do with their summer months? It could be a touchy subject, can't it?
Or touchy. It's a tough one to put your thumb on. Baseball is a sport that you have to see repetition. You got to see it. You got to see the ground balls. You got to be able to work the pitching, and you got to be able to throw it. You got to be able to hit, and you got to be able to experience that. If you want to have success as the teams are in the postseason right now, or you want to have success individually to go on and play college ball, you need to be able to get out and challenge yourself against quality pitching. Not every team has a Gavin Warrenstein you're going to throw out there on the mound. Not every team has a Aiden Dotson that you're going to throw out there on the mound. Now, fortunate this area right in through here, there's a lot of the Dotsons and the Warrensteins and the Mason Robinsons, because we've got a pretty this area right here has some arms, but so you got to get out there and see that. You got to be able to, if you want to hit the college level, you're going to have to be able to prove yourself that you can do it on a consistent basis, game after game after game, against guys throwing 85 miles an hour and on up, because that's what you're going to see in college, at the junior college level, and even at the Division III level where my son is playing at. I watched either through the computer or in live. I watched some of the teams he was playing from Webster and Fontbonne and Spalding. I saw a lot of guys running that ball up there in the upper 80s at the Division III level. I know some people, that's surprising to hear, but it is that at the Division III level. And so I think you got to be able to hit that if you want to have success at the next level. You rarely aren't going to go into a junior college game, Division II, Division III, Division I, or NAIA, whatever it may be, and face somebody flipping fastballs up there at 68 miles an hour. Unless they have unbelievable off-speed stuff, an unbelievable changeup, and they're dotting I's, and those guys are hard to find like that. But so getting out and doing summer ball, I think you need a little bit of it. But man, and one thing, the month of June, and Mason and I were talking yesterday, for if you have an athlete, and I'm just dealing with one baseball and basketball. I can't imagine there's one that baseball, basketball, they're trying to get soccer. If it's cross country, the month of June is unbelievable. And I know we're going to do a high school summer schedule. We're going to play a couple nights a week starting next week. And then basketball, Chet has them busy with basketball, and I've told the guys, get to what you can. I would like for you to see it all of and be able to develop. We have a fall season, and there's another thing, it all depends too what that school has. We have fall baseball to be able to do a little evaluating on, to be able to see what's going to happen, what we need to work at. So the schools that don't have that fall season, they may want to take their summer a little more seriously than maybe what some are. So
yeah, I think you just talked about being willing to sort of be cooperative with other coaches that want some time with their kids in the summer, and that's important too, right? For coaches at the same school to be on the same page with each other,
yes,
and be willing to share.
Exactly right. And Coach Reeder and I felt like we've got along and worked that out well. You got to be able to cooperative with the other coaches at your school, because if you're butting heads, you're putting that kid, a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, in a tough position when opposing coaches are telling him maybe he needs to be at each one of those things at the same time. And then what's that kid supposed to do, and how's he supposed to take care of that? So
yeah, that's true. You're very true. Now, you mentioned the fall baseball, Justin. Has your outlook or approach to what you do in the fall, has it changed in the last so many years, 20 years?
Has my outlook to the fall
Yeah,
changed?
has your outlook to the fall season changed at all from when, you first started?
No, not really. I mean, the fall has been, let me rephrase that. Yes, because, up until 2012, we were in the conference.
Right.
So the focus was we wanted to win the conference and then win the conference tournament. At the same time, develop guys to get ready for the spring season. Now it's more or less we're trying to just whatever game we're going to be in, we're wanting to win, but at the same time we're trying to develop to see what we need to work on, be able to put guys in some positions in the fall that they may be experiencing a lot in the spring, open pressure situation, maybe throw somebody out there on the mound, see how they're going to do. Trying guys maybe a couple different positions in case we need to shuffle some guys around in the spring. So that's kind of what I'm always trying to do in the fall. Early in the fall, we were also trying to win a fall conference at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Since the conference situation changed and you're independent, that emphasis isn't obviously there. And, like I said, following in the fall, you see a lot of different kids getting in work on the mound. But just like you said, trying to find out who's going to be able to help us in the spring, because you got to have a lot of arms.
You got to have unbelievable amount of arms if you want to try to play a 35 game schedule. If you want to get a 35 game schedule in the amount of time, you better have arms. And I felt like we had the arms this year, and I felt like we had guys that were ready to go. The first 6 weeks of the season, we played 16 ball games. The last 3 weeks of the season, we played 18 ball games, and we got 34 ball games in before the regionals had started. So I know a few teams got in there 35, but not a whole lot. I mean, I'm seeing some of these records of some of these teams in the postseason now, they only got 24, 25 ball games in up to this point right now. So if you want to play a full schedule, you better have a full load of arms and then be willing to throw that 6, 7, 8 in there at times. You got to be careful in rushing some guys back. I mean, even we were fortunate with Cowden. He was able to come back from his knee injury, started pitching a little bit. They're the 1st of April, then able to work him back in the lineup to be able to get his bat back in the lineup was huge. But also, that game against Chris, he started and threw 18 pitches, and all of a sudden I look at the mound, he's kind of moving his arm around a little bit. And he goes, it doesn't hurt. It's just there's a feeling in it. So that's all I needed to hear. Let's get him out. And from to find out, he had just maybe a little bit of inflammation in there. Something he was able to throw later on and felt fine. And I even was able to bring him in the regional game. But taking care of your arms and having enough arms and being willing to, hey, I'm going to throw a guy out there today that, may not be our best option. I don't want to phrase it that way. Be willing to take a chance on a kid that maybe is pitching in a big ball game he has pitched in before. Let's say it that way. Maybe against a team that you're going, is the top team could be in subsectional, and you're going to throw a kid out there that may be your 5 or 6 against him to see how he's going to do against it for that development. You want him to experience that situation that he's going to be in.
Yeah, face that quality.
Not trying to always match, but giving a kid an opportunity.
Yep. All right, Mr. Dustin, do you have any other questions for Coach Fleener?
Yeah, well, the Bears are going to win 4 games this year. Does that sound about right to you?
Nope. We're going to be 9-7 this year. 9-7. We're going to make the playoffs. Confidence. And then next year we're going to be even better.
Okay.
Confidence.
All right. You don't really believe. I don't think you really believe that, but I appreciate the positive attitude.
When we're 9-7 and we make the playoffs, I want to be on that podcast week after that. All right.
Okay. Yeah. I'll be happy. I'll be happy to admit that I was wrong. But no, I don't know. I just it's been a pleasure to cover your teams. I just want to say that I enjoy seeing your guys play. We always know what to expect when we see them. You can tell that they're well coached and that they know exactly what's expected of them and respect that. And that's what high school sports are all about. I think T-Town is a model program, and we're lucky to have you in the area and also willing to speak to us about about your thoughts on the coaching profession.
You froze him up with such a deep thought, Dustin.
I guess.
It was my ideas, and I'm where I'm at. I've had tons of support and a lot of great ball players and a lot of great. And I've had good community support, and that helps.
Well, Justin, I will say
it's unstable. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you were cutting in and out.
It broke up a little bit there at the end. If you got anything really important you just said right there and you want to reiterate it, go for it.
I just said I felt like I've had a lot of good support from the community, from the players, and from the parents, and from the school in general. I've had a lot of great support.
Yep. Mike, any last parting shots before we let Justin go?
A wise man on this podcast about 3 months ago thought we had a 1A champ in the area. So it's your job to be setting in front, up in the crowd, moving around, finding those lucky spots. And so, I look good in my prognostication.
All right. I'm going to hope too. I'd love to be able to come back on here and talk about that. Yes.
Well, good luck to the boys, and enjoy being a parent this weekend, Justin.
I sure will. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Right. That's Justin Fleener, baseball coach at Teutopolis High School. Thanks so much to him for joining us. We'll let him bail out of the call here. Not just the coach at T-Town, of course, but, a proud dad. And Logan is the one non-senior in the starting lineup on that North Clay team. And that's that's a luxury that a lot of programs just don't get to enjoy. And it's not only that those kids are all seniors, but that they've been starting in that program for 3-4 years now.
Well, I'm guessing he probably has to bag the bats and do things like that at a game.
Yeah, we're starting to lose Justin a little bit more there toward the end of that interview, but we kind of at that point we're going to push forward, right? Because
we knew what he was saying.
I'll
tell you what, Justin is a very special person, because what you see here in this interview, that's how he is all the time. When I was AD, the first trip when they won state in 2017, I got to kind of see him behind the scenes, and I hope Coach Freck reaches out to him, not as saying, hey, what do you think about, but as all the things that go on behind the scenes. I mean, Justin said, hey, on this day, because I was kind of like I was the gopher while I was there as AD, okay, we need the Blimpie subs here at 2:00 because we're going to eat lunch before we go, everything was down. Everything was scheduled. Here's what we're doing. And, I still remember having to do some finagling with the people at the desk because they give us so many, breakfast. They have a breakfast buffet and they give you so many tickets for the kids and coaches. And I'm like, hey, Coach Fleener's got 3 kids. They're going to go hungry. So, I've kind of finagled the guy out of a couple extra tickets. So we get Justin's kids down there to eat breakfast. I'm like, come on, you can help us out here. But, there's just a lot of things that go on that are time consuming, getting, where we went to take batting practice and doing all that and the route to get there and, avoiding traffic and just so many things. So, obviously a wealth of information for something like that. And like I said, that's the type of person he is all the time.
I don't I can't profess to be real knowledgeable about the teams that are left in 1A. I've obviously, we've followed North Clay, and we've seen them play this year. So I don't feel real comfortable prognosticating anything. They play Leroy tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Friday in the second semifinal. The other two semifinalists are Mount Sterling, Brown County, and Ottawa Marquette. I don't know anything about these teams, but
Ottawa Marquette scored a lot of runs a couple times. But again, I still remember. I think it was the 17 group, their first game. The team they played at the state tournament, and I forget which one of the Beecher boys. I know Justin said, but one of the Beecher boys was on the hill, and these kids acted like they'd never seen a curveball before.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It was just sit down.
With everything being put together based on geography. I mean, you're going to get teams that just by no fault of their own, they just don't have teams in their area to play that are going to replicate what they see once they make it to the Final Four, or even to a super sectional. Sometimes you see, or so yeah. There sometimes you'll end up with stuff like that. I mean, I think you saw that a little bit with North Clay and Steelville in the super sectional on Monday, yesterday. Steelville apparently had one pitcher who was a stud, and they needed him to win their sectional, but then they get to this super sectional and they just looked a little overmatched. And that's just kind of how it goes. North Clay has got at least two starting pitchers that they could throw in any game against any opponent and feel like they're going to win, and probably more than that, but definitely, a pretty established top two. And you could just tell from the beginning of that game who was going to win it.
And you see the same type of thing. Sometimes you'll see a team that comes in and they're all talky, chirpy, chatter. It's almost like girls travel softball, like cheerleaders with bats. And I saw T-Town in a sectional run into that with a team that was, kids were mouthy in the dugout. And it was like, but, it's like a North Clay, you're not going to intimidate them by talking smack out of the dugout and starting to get on people about stuff. No. These kids are like, hey, we've played Breeze Central. We've faced Gavin Warren. We've faced these people. You're not going to show us anything we haven't seen before. And then we're just going to come out and work. They just roll their sleeves up and get the job done.
Now, speaking of Gavin Warren, you're going to notice that I did not put Justin on the spot and ask him what he thought about either one of the very big calls in that sectional championship game against Windsor Stew Straws. That was just an interesting game. If we could segue to that, and I'm going to preface all this by saying that we were broadcasting it. Matt and I were broadcasting that sectional championship game, and neither one did I see well enough to really have a strong opinion about it. But there were a couple of just enormous calls made in that game. And it really was, they were turning points, you had and part of that is just that, North Clay's willingness, especially one of them, North Clay's willingness to just sort of press the issue. They had runners on second and third and started a runner from third, to steal home. Basically just, it was Logan Fleener, and he's got great speed, but again, I think that's just as much as anything to see if the other team makes a mistake. Right. And a balk was called, on Gavin Wernsing. He threw him out at the plate, but according to the interview that the Windsor Stew Straws coach Brett Harmeyer gave to the Daily News after the game, he said that the explanation he got was that Gavin just never came set. And so they called a balk there. And that ended up being a 2-run swing, because not only did that run score, but then the next kid, instead of that being the third out, gets a base hit. And then there was with the Windsor Stew Straws, they had the bases loaded down by a run with 1 out, and hit a little ground ball to third base. The third baseman gets the force at second, throw to first is wild. And 2 runs come in to score on that play, but instead it was ruled interference on the slide at second base. And neither one of those runs score. So as Winters drew straws for a fleeting moment, thought that they had taken a 4-3 lead in the bottom of the 5th inning, and instead they were still down 3-2, and that's 3-2 is where the game ended. So you see, those are just and here's the thing I will say. Like, I don't have any commentary on the calls, okay? They're big calls. Sometimes games have big calls, and that's just, it is what it is, right? Because I don't want to say that one team deserved to win more than the other. I don't think that at all. But what I will say is that Coach Harmeyer came up and did an interview with us after the game and handled it better than I think I could have, because it's an emotional thing, right? Like, whether you think they're correct or not, like that's a big part of how your season ended, and it'd be perfectly understandable to be pretty fired up. And he said all the right things, and I assume told his kids all the right things, and that's leadership. And so I really
you hit the nail on the head there. When you see a coach get all upset and then even carry it over, and playing through his kids, then his kids, I've seen a lower level coach get mad because they played a game in a small field, and then all the kids said that's why they got beat. Well, The field was too small. It was a home run park. Well, when you hit home runs, but it's just little things like that. You can't, as a coach, you got to stay above the fray, because if, you can go home and go sit in your sunroom and, get out a bottle of Whistle Orange, and then you can just fester and vent. You don't do it openly to your kids. I still fester and vent about a basketball game that's 15 years ago, but I didn't do it in the locker room to my kids.
Yeah.
And so the curse of coaching, those things you just got to kind of keep with you. So,
and I don't want to imply that Brett in the moment didn't go out and plead his case, because he certainly did.
Sure.
And probably went about as far with that as he could without, getting himself in any sort of, trouble with that.
Yeah, you're always going to, you fight for your kids, but you at some point you're not going to convince a change. So it is what it is, and now we have to move forward.
Yeah, I just wanted to, really not offer any commentary on that game,
right.
But to offer my commentary on the fact that I thought Brett Harmeyer handled that thing perfectly. I was super impressed. He's a young man, a young coach. He hasn't been at it very long, and I thought that the things that he said and did were wise beyond their years. So,
now, did he coach with Coach Jones down at South Central, or just play for Coach
I
Jones?
do not know if he actually was part of Kurt's staff at South Central or not. He obviously played for Kurt, so that counts for a lot. That's a great example.
Yeah, that's his influence. That's where that comes from.
Absolutely.
Now, do you think from seeing those games, should Stu have had success down at Carbondale?
Yes.
I mean, Gavin Wormsing would not have been available to throw, obviously.
No, but I think they would have been able to hit. I do. Okay. I'm not saying they would have won.
Right.
No, I don't know, but they would not have been overmatched by that Steelville team. And the fact of the matter is, I think there's other teams that were home already that probably could have played Steelville and held their own. Okay.
Sure. And again, we talked about coming from that area. It seems like the survivor from here, when you get north, be it 1A or 2A, usually does pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, to switch just a brief minute and not talking about really anything from the area, in the 2A sectional at T-Town in the semifinal game, Mater Dei beat Flora 1-0. Okay. Mater Dei's starting pitcher, went 6 2/3 innings, 19 strikeouts. Now do the math there, Whitey. There's only 20 outs in 6 2/3 innings.
Yeah,
he struck out 19.
The kid that pitched for Steelville in their sectional championship apparently struck out 17 of the 19 that he faced also. Yeah. So,
and I did talk briefly today with Lori Thompson, because she was and I guess I should have asked Justin today, but obviously she was there because they were running the sectional. And she said it was just breezy enough, and he was a lefty with a lot of movement on his ball. But she said his ball was just dancing. And Flora's kid, a little lefty, also was he held him to one run. So she said it was a great ball game.
Lori probably knows better than a lot of people what a good left-handed pitcher looks like,
yes,
doesn't she?
Yeah. She knew one really well.
Yeah. So I don't know. We as far as teams we have left in the area, Effingham baseball is the only other one.
They've got a playing in a sectional Wednesday tomorrow,
yeah.
weather permitting. Triad have an all-weather field, or do you know?
I don't know. Okay. I do know that they beat Matt Toon in the regional championship on it was a walk-off walk.
Yeah, I saw that walk-off walk. Was it Gage Massey?
Gage Massey. Okay. Yeah, and the interesting thing about that whole regional for Effingham was that in the semifinal they were able to jump out to a big lead, and I'd be curious to talk to Coach McNeely about what his plan was for pitching going into that tournament as opposed to what he ended up doing, because they made a quick change. I think they started McDevitt in that game. They scored 3 runs in the first inning and then went to Quest Hull, and he finished it. And then in the championship game, they gave Braden Powell the start. He goes 4 innings, and then McDevitt pitched the last 3. So, and that's a game where Effingham, I'm looking at the story right now. They only had 1 hit going into the, 6th inning.
Oh, in the Matt Toon game?
Yeah, the Matt Toon game.
Yeah, wasn't Matt Toon the number 9 seed in the complex?
I
think they were. I think they were the 9 seed in the complex.
Must have had a pretty good pitcher, is all I will say, And Effingham got it done. They scored a couple of runs. They scored a run to make it 2-1, and then scored 2 runs in the final inning to walk off.
It'll be interesting to see who's available tomorrow.
Yeah, they might actually think that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the game to get pushed back a day.
Sometimes timing, weather, sometimes weather helps you.
Yeah.
Especially in this instance.
Because, we'd have to see what the pitch counts were. But the way IHSA works is that you throw a certain number of pitches on this day, then you can throw this many days down the road, and it's a sliding scale. And I don't know them off the top of my head. But yeah, there probably would be some people who would be somewhat limited, in a Wednesday game. So, but I think that's winning a regional, is a pretty good accomplishment for that team.
Yes.
They had their ups and downs this year, and here they are. They won the city series. They won a regional.
They played
Muscuda. Yeah, and again, I don't know anything about it, but I'll be there. I'll be there tomorrow, or I guess Thursday possibly. And I'll be.
Oh, hey, Whitey, I'll listen to you.
And well, it's a good trip. Not as far as Peoria. Greg and I will be making that trip a couple of times this weekend to see North Clay. They play their semifinal at noon on Friday, and hopefully the championship game at 11:30 on Saturday. If not, the 3rd place game is at 9:00 in the morning in Peoria. So that'll be a fun time to get up about.
Just sleep on Fleener's floor. Just sleep on the floor in his room. I'm sure he'll let you.
Well, I don't know. I think it'd be more the problem would be more like, would my wife really be thrilled with me being gone overnight, leaving her.
Be okay with it.
Well, it's not my absence that matters. It's the fact that there's like 2 little kids and 2 puppies and all sorts of crap going on.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing.
Girls softball. I was at
St. Anthony. Go.
I was at Maroa on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Game started out really kind of weird. First inning, Bulldogs. Cameron Rios led off and reached on an air, hit her slap ball and, right at the shortstop. But, you've got that nanosecond to make that play. Well, when they were trying to bunt her over, ball got popped up and actually almost cleared the pitcher into the shortstop area. And then I think they snapped through to first, and then she still got this. It was just like air, missed sacrifice, air got her over. Hop up in the center. Cameron was waiting to see if it would drop, and it dropped for a hit. And she broke for third and got thrown out at third, and it looked like, oh, now they're not going to score. And then they, base hit. So Anthony scored in the first 2 innings. And Faber hit a bomb in the second. I mean, a line drive about 18 feet high all the way out. Just smoked it. And they were up 2-0, and we're really kind of cruising. And then second time through the lineup, Colonna started hitting the ball and got a run back, and then got 2 runs to take a 3-2 lead after 3. And that was it for the scoring. Mm-hmm. No more scoring in the game. Difference in the game, really, the balls put in play by Terlono were hit pretty crisp.
Yeah.
I know Lucy took a line drive off the rib cage. I mean, it went thud. I guarantee you it left a mark. She had another line drive just ticked the side of her thigh and her pants. Kind of, you heard a bzz when it went by on the material. Just grazed her. Had another ball smoked over her head right in the center. They hit 3 hard hit balls right back through the box. I mean, bullets.
Yeah.
And Bulldogs had their chances. I mean, Maddie Kibler, I think, had a ball down the right field line. Right fielder on the dead run made a diving catch. If she misses it, at worst, it's a triple. And I mean, she laid out. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to catch it and fall to the ground and get dirty. I mean, she made a beautiful catch. So that was, a couple of things that happened there. Addison Rios had a couple hits in the 9-hole. They put a shift on her where literally the shortstop and third baseman could almost like grab arms and play Red Rover. They were so close together.
Yeah.
And she just kind of played, pepper and guided it more up the middle and got a single one time. They had an interesting shift when Cameron would come up after her first time. They had the right fielder playing like where a normal second baseman would play, deep on the dirt. And everyone else was in, and then the center fielder was kind of in from left center to the right field line. There wasn't an outfielder. Nobody on the grass. And I think mentally, I don't know. I felt like she was trying to hit a ball, kind of change her approach a little bit and hit a ball into right field, and probably an inside the park home run for her, maybe a stand-up double for me. But I think it just kind of maybe got her out of her normal approach.
I don't know about stand-up. Might have to slide.
Well, those are short bases, Whitey. Remember, short bases.
Yeah.
But, tough luck loss for the Bulldogs. It was, solid ball game. Neither pitcher walked a batter in the game, which I found refreshing. It really was nice.
I mean, you talk about them hitting Lucy around a little bit, but that's, her game is never to strike a lot of people out.
No, and she was doing it. I felt like early she really, but that second time through the lineup, they kind of, because their pitcher bats third, and her first time, she hit a rock at the center right at Grace Karalevich. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, okay, they dodged a bullet there. And but they had 7 starters back from a team that went to state in 2A last year. They went ahead and won their super. They're going back to state. I saw Casey beat Stu Straws.
Yeah.
Casey's won their super. They're going to state. So our expanded area has done well. Boys state track meet this weekend.
Cowden-Herrick, Beecher City. Jadon Robertson, 4 medals. And between him and another
Lucas.
Yeah, that's all it takes sometimes. Jadon Robertson, Daniel Lucas,
Daniel Lucas. I was reading my notes. Yeah, Daniel Lucas. They both were co-state champs. Daniel won the shot, 18.25 meters. So what is that, about 50 feet?
Yeah, I don't know. You see, they list these things in meters now, and it's not what I'm used to seeing. So
again, when I was in school 40 years ago, they said the metric system was coming. It just took 40 years, and I don't like it.
Jadon won the 110 hurdles, had a PR 14.36 seconds.
Had a PR in the 300, second there.
Yeah.
Second in the high jump, second in the long jump.
That all equals co-state championship.
Co-state champion. Yeah. They get a trophy. Newton had a 4x14 be a state champ.
Which is unsurprising.
Griffin Elder from St. Anthony finished 12th in the 3,200, and he had a PR 10:07. So, yeah, kudos to the boys at the state track meet. They had ideal weather.
It did. It was not super hot.
No. The 75 on Saturday. It wasn't windy. Wasn't windy yet. I think there's enough of a breeze. I think there was some wind aided times the state was showing, but for the most part, it's a pretty good day.
And I think it was Friday that the rain was more of an issue for the prelims for the 2A and 3A, which wouldn't have affected anyone from our area. They do the 1A prelims on Thursday.
Right.
I think they had pretty good weather for that, and then it had cooled off enough on Saturday that nobody was overheating, stuff like that for the championship. So yeah, really nice. That's good for it's great for Cowden-Herrick, Beecher City, the program, those schools. Those are times for whatever reason. I mean, their girls basketball program has obviously kind of put them on the map, but not so many opportunities necessarily for those schools to get on the state stage on the boys sports. And so for them to get that recognition and have their name out there, that's always a positive, right? It's always
so does that trophy go back and forth every week, or do they get a replica made and one school gets a cop? I mean, how do you do that?
That is a question for.
Isn't Seth Schuler the AD at Cowden-Herrick? He's a former Stu Straw's Comet basketball player.
Okay. Maybe we do need to have a better understanding of that. Maybe they build a little display halfway between the two schools, a little all-weather display, and put it there.
So out there, let's see, if we put it halfway, it'd be about that curve where all those pine trees died.
Okay.
Right there.
I don't know. Maybe inside one of the schools is better.
Yeah, that's safer.
Anyway, that's nice for them. So
that is awesome. Again, our first guest, he talked about deep runs in the area. We have from our extended area, we have a state champ in track as a team. We have 2 state champs as individuals. Girls track, we had an individual state champ. We've got a boys baseball team playing in the Final Four. We had a girls basketball team get 3rd place. A lot of super sectional appearances. We're blessed in the area with great athletes and great things like that. And it really is.
Gives us a lot to talk about here.
You get a win. Oh, I wanted to touch base. I want to give one shout out. Junior high state track meet. Emery Spicer from Effingham Junior High was a state long jump champion. I know we touched on some champions and some things in the smaller schools, but she was a state champ in the long jump. They use regular measure. She went 15.8. And I believe that would possibly be the daughter of the new assistant principal at the junior high. I'm assuming the Spicers that were former basketball players. One's in education, lives here in town.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Speaking of Effingham, they did have their groundbreaking for the new turf at the football field. So
I haven't gone out there and looked at that yet.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to be. I mean, I'm obviously fully in favor of the move, and think it's going to be great for the school. I mean, for the football program, but just for the school in general, they'll be able to use it in a lot of different ways, and just exciting to to get that done. And Justin talked a little bit about how he thinks you're going to see more and more high schools end up with that all-weather playing surface.
Yeah, the biggest, I mean, the weather, your fields, for the most part, obviously you can't play in the lightning and you can't play when it's raining so dang hard you can't see, but it keeps fields playable. There's an up and a downside. I don't like them when the sliding areas are carpet. Sauget had that, and kids were having a hard time sometimes staying on the base.
Yeah, you did. Carbondale's field the same way, by the way, at SIU. It was, I mean, everything besides the mound. Everything besides the mound was the artificial surface. They had some kids slide, and none of them went too far, but they definitely. You have to start a little sooner because you're going to get carried. It's going to carry you a long way.
Yeah, you slide, especially if they're damp. You get a little moisture on there.
It's like a slip and slide. Yeah.
Almost.
I feel like I would not want to go head first on that stuff, though, because I feel like you'd get some major rug burn on them.
Look at the major league guys that wear that on their arms. Just like the football wide receivers wear that on their arms.
Yep.
Whatever.
I don't know. What else you got?
That's it. I mean, I know next week we'll probably talk probably strictly about North Clay's state tournament.
Effingham baseball.
And Effingham baseball. Yep. We'll be covering those two. And then you and I are going to kind of decide if we're going to do it every other week or what we're going to do this summer. I mean, I've got a couple of guests I'm talking to about being on, but we'll just have to play it by ear and see what we want to do.
There'll be shorter shows maybe, or maybe we'll just talk about other stuff. I don't know.
Hey, and you're big time at me in your texting game. I'm a little concerned.
What's that?
Well, I've asked you 3 times if you have Venmo so I can pay your daughter for cookies.
Well, we kind of decided we made you wait so long for those cookies that we just let you enjoy them.
No, I have to pay for them, and I will tell you they were very good.
We were happy with that recipe. We never.
I may have put them in a place where no one knew they were here. I'm just saying.
Well, you were a good inspiration there. You suggested oatmeal, and we had never done those before, and we got a lot of compliments on the oatmeal cookies. So
right.
I will say the first batch we made, they were way too big. We followed this recipe that we found.
Nothing wrong with that.
And they were enormous. We were like, okay, we can cut these babies in half and still. But,
next time I want to see the raisin.
I'll get you the Venmo details, I suppose.
Right. I want raisin. I want you to try oatmeal raisin and oatmeal Heath.
Heath, okay.
Toffee.
Interesting. That sounds good.
Well, she's got to branch out. She's got to be different. She just can't be your standard. Hey, here's my really, really good chocolate chip cookies. She's got to,
She's gonna. I don't know. It's probably going to be a couple weeks before we get another chance because I'll be busy this next weekend. I'll be in Peoria. She's not quite old enough to do it by herself. I have to be there supervising. So,
do you get to lick the bowl?
Maybe occasionally, depending on what kind we're making. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will tell you. Here's a tip. My niece used to make tremendous cookies. Also, she used cake mixes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Our basic plan right now
cookies.
Is just to do a Google search and find the one that matches the ingredients that we have on hand the best. So
yeah, make sure I get that Venmo. I have to pay. I'm getting a little nervous. I haven't been able to pay.
Now I know you're really worried about it. All right. Well, yeah, we'll be following, we'll have eyewitness accounts from any of those baseball games that we're still following. So we should be able to talk pretty intelligently about them, or at least as well as I can do. And,
and again, good luck to the Hearts. Hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Thursday. Good luck to the Cardinals from North Clay City. Got to know some of those kids when I spent a night down there with Coach Zink in basketball practice one night. Great kids. I mean, if they're willing to listen to me in the gym, they're quality kids.
Yeah, or they've been bribed. They probably all cashed out on some bribe after you left.
Well, I will say one thing, because I was trying to show them something with where you had obviously you wanted someone who could throw, take it out of bounds. And I said, all right, who's you guys' number one pitcher? He doesn't play basketball. Okay, how about your number two? He doesn't play basketball. I said, how about number three? He doesn't. I'm thinking all the drive home. A school that size and their three best pitchers don't play basketball. That's amazing.
No Donnie Zimmerman. No Donnie Zimmerman on the basketball team, huh?
No Donnie Zimmerman. No Holden Clifton. And who's the other one?
Let's see. I should know because he threw yesterday, and now I'm blanking on the whole. Actually, Clifton did. It's Burkett. It's Burkett is the other one. Yeah.
All three don't play basketball.
Burkett pitched yesterday. Yeah. Zimmerman will probably pitch their first game in the tournament. And, yeah.
I think we got down to about number 4, and then oh my goodness, who's their second baseman?
Boy, it's
no
Dawkins.
Dawkins. Yeah, finally Dawkins raised his hand. I'm like, all right, here, you inbound the ball. But yeah, it was. I was shocked, and I was only shocked because of a school that size.
Yeah.
It's not like a school of 500 kids.
No, it's not a big school, but their athletic program's pretty strong. Very good buy-in from the kids, and we are seeing that. We're seeing that play out.
And also when you get to Peoria in the booth, I'm guessing Josh Zink and Taylor will get a set in the booth instead of out in the bleachers like Eric Carey. Tell Zink that he probably owes me a soda.
Well,
just for no reason. Just tell him.
I should have told him yesterday. He was in the booth right next door to us. Him and Roy. So
just tell him I think they owe me a soda because they made fun of me when they were doing a game down at the North Clay T-Town game on TV. I watched, and they were poking fun at what my walk-up song would be. It was like by Adele. I thought, no, that wouldn't be it.
It'd be something way worse than that, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call it good because, quite honestly, I got to run. So,
all right, that's good. I'm good too. So have a good one, Whitey, and have fun trips to Triad and Peoria.
And I will try and make sure that I keep myself out of the hospital so that when we plan to record next week, we will do it as planned.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, take it easy, Mike.
See ya.